I just sat down with investor and philanthropist George Soros. He's been spending a lot of time working on a plan to cut emissions. He had a real seat at the table in Copenhagen, and this is the story that he's been spending much of his time on. But in addition, we also talked about global markets. I asked him about currencies today, how he's investing, and he had some interesting things to say about the valuations in the stock market. How do you see things right now in terms of the environment, globally speaking, and in the U.S. right now? Where are we in the cycle?
I think the collapse, the depression was prevented. The collapse of the financial markets was avoided, or the artificial life support actually worked. So the markets are now stabilized. The premiums have shrunk back to normal levels. So that's fine. And the economy has begun to move forward. But it's only moving forward because it's pushed by the stimulus. And that's particularly true in the United States.
What are your thoughts on the president's proposals in the banking industry?
Well, I'm very supportive. I think it's a step in the right direction because the banking system has to be changed. This idea of allowing total freedom has turned extremely sour at a considerable expense. So we do need to do it, and separating investment banking from commercial banking and prohibiting commercial banks from engaging in trading for their own account, using deposits which have an implicit guarantee from the government, in fact not just implicit, an explicit guarantee. That's not appropriate. And so this is the right thing. However, it's not enough, because you still have a problem of too big to fail in the financial activities that are non-deposit taking, not commercial banks, so investment banks. They will still be too big to fail. And the idea that we would let Goldman Sachs go bust after the experience we have had with Lehman is not credible. Therefore, we have this too big to fail problem, which we have to solve either by breaking them up or by imposing rather strict rules on capital requirements. So if they speculate for their own account, then they need to have appropriate capital to back it.
How worried are you about the debt issue in Greece?
Well, it is a serious issue, of course, and Greece will has already taken some steps, will have to take some further steps, but I'm pretty confident that they'll do it, because the alternative of losing their credit rating, which allows the bonds to be refinanced at the European Central Bank, would be so punitive that they'll do everything to avoid it.
What about China, George? What can you tell us there? Is this an investment opportunity for you? People talking about growth of some 11% there. What are you seeing in China?
Well, I think that China is the great winner of the whole situation. Right now it's overheating. And they are moving to cut back. They have inflation, and they are now actively increasing capital reserve requirements, and until they finish the job, I think the markets are liable to be under pressure. But I think once they succeeded, I think China will remain a very attractive area for investment.
And given the economic story there, is it fair to say that the currency eventually does go higher?
Well, it would be in China's own interest now to allow the renminbi to appreciate. And of course it would be of great benefit to the rest of the world. And since China is dependent on the rest of the world for its exports, it would again benefit China. So it really now cries out as the most efficient way of bringing inflation under control. But of course the Chinese don't like to be told what to do. They don't like the Treasury Secretary of the United States telling them. Maybe I'm not that important that I can say.
And final question here, George. When you look at the deficit, the debt in the U.S., is there any reason to believe that the U.S. dollar goes higher anytime soon?
Well, actually, it's acting rather well right now. But the U.S. would actually also benefit from a higher renminbi. It would help both by making exports more competitive to China, but also would help to actually introduce an element of inflation in the United States, which in the current circumstances would be very helpful.
Mr. Soros has put a lot of money in Eastern Europe. He says that economically speaking, things are slowly but surely improving in that part of the world.